Well, I come from a middle-class family in Tempe, Arizona, which is just on the outskirts of Phoenix, the capital. My father was an electrician. My mother was a lunch lady who heckled me for all my years through middle school and high school. But the main thing that they wanted was they were hardworking Americans. Their biggest goal was to get me to a good college because at the time when I was born, most of my family were laborers, and men going to college was never really an option. You either went to a trade school, you went to automotive school, or you just went right into the workforce. So they struggled to give me the education that brought me into my 30 years of government service.
And then how did you get into that government service?
Well,
Was there something that really pushed you to get into it?
after I got out of the Marine Corps and I decided to settle in California, it was a question of, it wasn't even really a question, it was more of a calling. I'd spent 5 years in the Marine Corps and I just figured, what else can I still do? And government was the answer. I started, of course, with the local governments before I moved up the food chain, so to speak, but I just wanted to keep serving.
So what are you most excited for about this whole campaign then, if you're so excited to serve?
I've spent pretty much the majority of my 30 years in the area of the Southwest, California and Arizona. But I'm really meeting a lot of great Americans. I mean, this campaign, we are going all over the place in the country, and we are meeting so many hardworking Americans that are just frustrated. They see the partisanship, and they realize that they don't benefit from it. So if anything can come out of this campaign, it's to bring people together.
And you said that they see that part. What do you think they're most frustrated about then?
I think they're frustrated about governments that are more interested in working with their party groups than with the people themselves. My years in the Senate, I worked with the great John McCain. And I worked with him on the McCain-Feingold Act to break down on money going into campaigns. And John McCain taught me that the most civic responsibility you have is to your constituents, not to the party, not to your other fellow senators, but to the people that get you in office every 6 years.
So is that what you want to change about America, or is there something else that you'd rather change about America?
Well, naturally, I have my own policies that I feel are better than my opponents, but if anything comes out of this, I want to be elected President of the United States, not by the people that agree with me, but by the people that believe in me, and the people that want change.
And then how do you think you can do better than your opponent? How can you better America better than your opponent can?
Well, I'm not going to talk bad on my opponent's policies. If a man believes in something, I have respect for that. The only thing is, most of the things that I would consider agreeing with Governor Bittinger is the fact that the things he wants are spend now, pay later. And I don't want to throw that on to the next generation. Too many generations of Americans are being put into these massive debts that they can't pay off in 5 to 6 generations. Don't get me wrong, free education, healthcare for everybody, these are great things, but I want to wait until we can actually afford them to implement them. And then we can have real debates. We can't just have partisan debates. We can have real, factual debates on these issues.
And the debate is coming up. How do you think that that's going to go? What are you aiming towards? What do you think Bittinger is going to throw back at you?
I hope he doesn't throw back the way conservatives have been treated in the past. We've had a bad rep, and I'm hoping that being a moderate, I can persuade the nation away from that, to introduce them to facts more than just ideologies. And that's what I'm hoping comes out of this debate. This whole thing between me and Governor Bittinger, it's all about the issues, and it's about the facts and presenting it to the best American electorate that we can.
Now, your VP, how did you choose him, and tell me a little bit about him? He made a grand entrance.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how you guys chose that entrance, why that song, and just a little bit about your guys' whole campaign process.
I'll start with the song, Never Gonna Give You Up. That's what I've been doing. That's what Governor Dujak's been doing. We've never given up. And that's one of the reasons I picked him. Now, he's been out of government, sure, for a few years, but he started off working as an economic advisor. And then he came back to Pennsylvania. He became their governor. And then he was called to be the Homeland Security Director. So he's got the experience. There's no question about that. But he's got an energy. I didn't want a cookie cutter, stand out of a VP that can just stand next to me and nod. I want a man that can come in with energy and passion that rivals my own.
Awesome. Now, can you tell me a little bit about upcoming events that you guys have going on? Where are you headed to next? Who are you speaking to next?
Well, right after the debate, I will be going to Ohio to speak to a Honda car manufacturing plant to roll out my tax-based initiatives for corporations and how I'm going to help the working blue-collar Americans get more money in their pockets so they can have a better future for their kids.
And what's your plan on doing that? How do you plan on doing that?
Well, for one thing, I am so wholeheartedly committed to cutting the tax rates of the middle and the lower classes, or the poor classes, and not penalizing the richer classes. To me, there should only be 3 tax brackets, because there should only be 3 people that are taxed. The poor should get taxed less than the middle class, and the middle class should get taxed less than the rich. And for corporations, corporations are our friends. They're more than just people or boardroom executives. These corporations they put the money in your pocket that puts the food on your table and the education for your kids. We penalize them. We're doing nothing more than penalizing the workers that work for them.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you wanted to kind of tell America about yourself, or, your opponent, or, anything? Is there anything else you wanted to say that I didn't ask you?
Well, if I would just, sum that up. I want Americans to put away how they used to vote. I want them to come into this election with a clean slate. I want them to say, this is where I am, this guy makes one good point, this guy makes another good point, but I want them to think about themselves and not which one of us they like better. Which one of us will provide the better future is a question they need to be asking themselves.
Awesome. All right. That's
Thank
it.
you.